Welcome to the Alltech Radio Podcast. And joining me on this episode, of course, as usual, we have Scott Portinga. And we also have Chris Sienko, who was from the InfoSec Institute for many years. And welcome to the show, Chris.
Thanks, Robert. Great to be here. Great to meet you as well, Scott.
Good to meet you.
Well, we've got an exciting show. We're going to be talking about some interesting things that are coming out from Apple. We've got some AI news and things like that. But first, I want to mention that Chris has interviewed me multiple times after creating courses for the InfoSec Institute, which is now owned by Cengage. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes.
Yes.
Engage Group.
Currently, well, what's
Yeah.
interesting is after you and I had that conversation, which is about a week ago, I've been creating courses for LinkedIn Learning and Pluralsight and O'Reilly and of course InfoSec and Cengage many years. Created over 100 courses for them over the last 10 years. And so I was checking in with my LinkedIn Learning, person because, I have several courses contracted, ready to go. And so I said, "Hey, what do we got after those two are over?" And she said, "Nothing." And I said, "Wait, no LinkedIn Learning courses? We've had nonstop courses for the last 10 years. What's going on?" And she said, "Not only nothing, but the two that you have scheduled, yeah, we're canceling those too."
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I said, "What is going on?" So she said the same thing is happening, everywhere, Pluralsight, everything else, because, America is now great again. Because they lost, all these different organizations lost tons of contracts. They lost tons of contracts with the government. They lost tons of contracts with universities, which is where a lot of their, income comes from. Like if you go to any major university, you can see a LinkedIn Learning page, and you can see my courses in there and a bunch of other ones.
hmm
And so they just wiped them all out and said, "We don't know what the future is going to hold in this area." Now, I went to my the report of people who watch my courses, the engagement of the courses and things like that, and it's just as high as ever. All the ones that I've already recorded and are on the just as high as ever. And the colleges have increased the amount of students that they have, which always happens when you get ready for a recession. A lot of people get laid off and stuff like that. So we can see that this major need for education is about to hit full force. But the companies that are engaging people like you and me, they are saying, "Oh no, we don't have the funding for that." So
I think you mentioned DEI one too many times, Bob.
I
There
can't
it
believe
is.
I did that.
Got you put on a list.
Yeah, I got
Yep.
put on a list, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. I can speak to the fact that I was at this year's ISACA conference in Florida. I guess it was back in April or so,
well,
and
explain what is ISACA?
it is a security conference. I was afraid you were going to ask me the what it is.
Oh no,
It is.
you don't have to go
Yeah,
over those.
it is
The
a
security conference. Okay.
governance risk compliance related
Oh, okay.
conference,
Got it.
and it
Got it.
is largely attended by people in federal government, DoD, military, which is also a big part of InfoSec's client base. And the thing we kept hearing was almost none of our, sort of government contacts were at ISACA this year. A lot of them said that their discretionary spending P cards had gone from $2,000 to $1 in the past year here. So I think that's also part of the thing. I mean, this is not my area of expertise, not my zoo, not my monkeys, but I think that the sort of budget slashing around education is definitely hitting people really, really hard right now, not just in higher ed, but also in federal government, military, DoD,
Right.
where you're needing to get your entire team CISSP by X date, or everyone needs to be Security Plus compliant, or needs to have this particular GRC framework mastered, and so you knock it out in a week or whatever with a boot camp. And yeah, I mean that's a big paradigm shift.
Well, a dollar will not get you there. And not only
No.
that, the dollar has lost 10% of its value in the last 250 days
Ah,
since the new government has taken over. So even if you have a high yield savings account, which pays, 2 to 3%, you've lost over 7% of that value.
Hmm.
So the way you can, the way I can prove that for you, look at the price of gold.
Hmm.
It's now what,
Mhm.
$3,800 an ounce? That means that the dollar's still there. It just can't buy as much gold, which means that you can't buy as much anything. So that, that's the most that the dollar has ever lost in that short amount of time ever, since the Great Depression. So yeah, that's and that even worse than the 2008 recession that we had. I mean, that is a big fast drop. So I totally feel for all of you out there who have recently lost your jobs, either to government or to cutbacks or to AI, all those different things in technology. There's other, fields that are doing just fine, which is great. But the tech sector not doing so great. But I'm going to talk to you about some of the interesting stuff that's going on in this sector. But first, I have to start out with now I know you guys are both ladies' men, so this doesn't apply to you, but people all over the country are forming full-on relationships with AI chatbots.
Hmm.
So this is how prevalent this has gotten. 20% of people in the United States have engaged with a romantic AI chatbot.
Wow.
20%. I mean, this didn't even exist 2 years ago.
Oh,
And
I
now
remember
20,
back in the 90s and in the 2000s, we'd see the occasional niche article about how someone got too obsessed with an anime character and then quote unquote married them. But that was such an outlier at the time.
wasn't
Yep.
20%.
No, no, no. 0.000000001. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so people are saying even normal, totally sane people, well, what's normal, are falling victim to this on a large scale. It's
Wow.
really, really, this comes to us from visualstudio.microsoft.com, strangely enough,
Hmm.
which is
Hmm.
really weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, digital love. And of course, all kinds of doctors and things are now, treating this ailment because, I read about one of these AI programs went through an update and then it completely lost all of its memory of the person that they were chatting with. So
He doesn't love me anymore.
it's almost like your girlfriend or boyfriend completely lost their mind.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah. One part of the story is they said that anytime the partner sort of started talking sort of dangerous rhetoric, the chatbot would basically quote unquote break up with them and tell them to seek professional help, which then led to a bunch of people on Reddit saying, well, you can do these workarounds if you sort of resave your conversation from just before that happened. You can basically go back in time and change history like movie Time After Time.
Wow. I mean,
wow.
Yeah.
that's unheard of in real life. I mean, you
Yeah.
cannot you cannot go back
No. Yeah.
and say, "Hey,
Re
forget that argument that we had. Let's go back to 2 months ago." Yeah,
Yeah.
that would
I'm
just
gonna
not
wa-
happen.
oh,
I'm gonna
you
get
just
our
need to re
archive tapes. Oh,
you
go
just
ahead.
need to reinstall the firmware.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We're bringing the tape reels out of storage.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the dangerous part in this is that there's people that already get enamored with people they're just chatting with. How many
Yeah.
people are
Sure.
being sucked in by AI and they think it's a real person?
They don't even know it. That's
Yeah.
that's a really
Yep.
good point. Yeah, very good point. Well, you probably saw the demonstration, or at least heard about the demonstration of Meta's new Ray-Ban display glasses, where Zuckerberg had a meltdown during the during the demonstration of this in real life. So anyway, these new glasses are arriving on September 30th. So today. So in the U.S. Now in the UK and Europe, you got to wait till 2026 because they probably have a bunch of laws that they'll have to comply with that will make it a little bit more difficult. So it's in the UK, excuse me, France, Italy, Canada, even Canada. You have to wait till next year, early next year. But all those liberal countries that like to make sure their people are protected before something, before the big bad Facebook comes in and does something, which I think is probably a really good idea because Facebook, has affected elections. So probably, want to make sure that the people are going to be safe. Anyway, so it's going to be $799. A lot better than Apple's $3,000 one. You remember the one from last year, Scott, where we talked about the Apple's $3,000 glasses? Oh no, actually it was not glasses. And we lost Scott. He'll be back.
Okay.
It's not glasses. It was those goggles. You remember that, Chris?
Vaguely. Yeah. Yeah. Those, I feel like a whole lot of people were burned after Google Glass and never sort of went searching again.
Yeah,
Now, yeah. So this is interesting. I saw sort of two different sort of takes around this because, there's some interesting tech in here in terms of, being able to sort of quick check your email with a hand wave, no phone needed, quick answers to questions with AI. But on one hand, connecting this with the previous story about the AI loneliness epidemic, I'm curious, like how easy it would be to absolutely just seal yourself into this hermetically sealed universe where you're just constantly checking things on your glass. And also, like, if we're taking away like the one thing that stops you from looking at your phone, i.e., the stigma of taking your phone out of your pocket and picking it up and everyone going, oh, he's picking his phone up again. Now you're just kind of like, doing it in meetings and so forth. Yeah, so I think that's interesting. And I think also but also the sort of converse of that is think of the fact that like you're going to now have your Zoom meetings in front of your face here, and you're sort of going to be constantly conferencing with sort of video versions that are coming of your coworkers that are coming through your glasses. Does that mean we don't have to go into work anymore?
Well, not only that, of course, it's going to record everything if you press the record button.
Of course.
So yeah, it's kind of sort of a combination of a recording system as well as a way to have your heads-up display through your glasses always available. Scott, we were just talking about, you remember the Apple Google goggles? No, what do they call those things?
Oh,
The Apple Glass?
what did they call the Apple? I remember when it was like $3,000 too. It was expensive.
Just so, and then
I remember
Apple
those.
got rid of that in less than a year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it just kind of went away and nobody talks about it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we barely remember what it was called, and it was like the story of the month, when it came out. But anyway, it's an interesting point, Chris, is that you never have to pick up your phone again because everything's just right in front of you.
You're just waving your hands. Yeah.
Yeah, you're just waving your hand. You're able to respond to things. And how many more people are going to walk out into traffic, are going to fall into holes, are going to fall off of cliffs? This kind of thing. And will these companies get sued for it? Probably. I don't know.
Yeah. Also, as anyone who's ever worked as a freelancer or a work from home situation, like it's almost impossible now to sort of unplug from your office when your office is sitting on your face as a pair of glasses.
That
ding, ding, go the emails at 11:30 at night.
Yep.
Yeah, you'll also be able to ask it, ask the artificial intelligence that comes with Facebook. Now, I don't remember what Facebook's AI is called. Everybody's got their own dumb names,
Is it just Meta AI?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is it Meta AI? Oh, okay. That's better than Grok. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Which is what Twitter.
Robert Heinlein would like a word with you. Yeah.
Yeah. I refuse to call Twitter X, by the way, so I'm always going to refer to it as Twitter. So when I initially invested in Twitter, when it first came out, I decided that I'm always going to call this Twitter. I don't care. But I did sell my stake in that way before Elon Musk got involved. All right, YouTube Labs. This is interesting. So YouTube has a way of getting people to test their AI for them and charge them for it. So this is great. So if you go to youtube.com/new, and you have YouTube Premium, which I don't know. Actually, I don't know anybody who has YouTube Premium, but because it's just gotten so expensive. What do you pay, like $90 a month for that now?
No. I pay like $18 a month.
So they have different levels of subscription.
All that does is takes the ads out, and that's all I use it for. It might have a bunch of other features that I'm not using, but
Oh, okay. So you're not using
like Morty Seinfeld. I'm like, hey, I got this tip calculator
Oh,
that my son got for me.
Okay.
but $18 to take, for as much, if you watch enough YouTube over your lifetime, you'll gladly throw down under $20 to get the ads out of there,
Okay.
or let them get paid. But yeah, I was trying to find this function. I'll let you continue, but like, there's a delineation between YouTube and YouTube Music. Is that right?
I don't know. Scott, do you know the answer to
I do not know either. I
that?
guess I
Scott and I
spent
don't
enough
listen
time
to
there.
music. We're dead inside.
Because I tried trying this out, and so yeah, basically, this is it says that it's basically going to include little sort of snippets of information about songs and artists as the song or artist is playing, which made me realize, because again, people of a certain age are going to say, oh, they basically reinvented pop-up video on VH1. There was if
I love that.
anyone's not old enough to remember that VH1 used to show music videos, and they had a show called Pop-Up Video in which little bubbles would come up during the music video saying, Madonna discovered or created the song Vogue while watching people Vogue dancing at balls in New York City and blah, blah, blah. And I think this is doing something similar with its YouTube Music app. I couldn't find an example of it to try myself, including the song that they showed on the information page.
Oh, okay.
So it might work. I couldn't find it. I don't know.
Well, according to this article from 9 to 5 Google, it says the experiment adds AI hosts like fake hosts to a music type of a channel, and it shares relevant stories, fan trivia, fun commentary about your favorite music. So just like you were saying, just like pop-up video. I remember watching pop-up video in the 90s. I never would have watched those music videos except for the pop-up parts, which made it so interesting.
Yeah. I mean, going back to that era, if I could get a YouTube app that played music and then had Beavis and Butthead commenting on the song I'm listening to, like, dude, this sucks.
That would have been
No, wait, it rolls.
All right, so this is an interesting thing. When we first came out with adding all the stuff to the cloud, and now we've got our logins saved to Google Password Manager or whatever password manager you have, we never really thought much about what happens after we die. So how do we get that information, off the web or moved to, something where our family can control it or anything like that. So it's called a digital legacy. So like you have to make a plan for your physical assets, you need to make a plan for your digital assets. This comes from wired.com. So they now have specialists. This could be a new business opportunity for us, Scott. They now have specialists that will take over your digital legacy. So if somebody dies, you advertise saying, hey, we will take care of your digital. We'll either wipe out the data, we'll get the passwords transferred to you, whatever it is that you want done, as the survivors, for this person's digital legacy. So this is something that we now need to start adding into our wills. We need to, will to our family what it is we want them to do. I know Scott wants to have his web search history immediately deleted, which I've agreed to take care of for him. but
and vice versa.
And vice versa. Yeah, it's a dual thing.
That's a true friend right there.
Yep.
But yeah, to think about having to add this into your will is certainly interesting. Now, so Google will is as long as you tell them ahead of time, which I'm not sure how they would do this, they will send your loved ones, your survivors, all your usernames and passwords, after you die, if you prove that you were, related. Can you imagine how many wives are going to find out that their dead husbands were on, plentyoffish.com?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That
Get
is
your affairs in order now. It is an interesting point, though, because they mentioned in the article that there's, just taking over a loved one's account, realistically, if you become the person who maintains your, departed spouse's Flickr account or whatever, more or less violates the terms of service of,
Right.
So there's a lot of the sort of legal side of it. which it seems like why these sort of digital executors are being created. So yeah, I mean, there's definitely a lot to consider. I have some friends who have passed who were writers on the internet, and it is very sad to see like this great body of work of theirs just sort of start digitally decaying because even you go like Wayback Machine, a lot of that stuff doesn't it's getting less and less reliable. It's capturing less and less aspects
Oh, is
of
it
the
really? I
web.
didn't know that. Oh, wow.
At least in my experience, I'm always deep diving a website from 25 years ago or whatever, and
Yeah.
sometimes they're just sticks and twigs at this point.
Yeah, I've gone to the digital way back to see some of my early website creation, because I would use some of the Microsoft tools from, the early, I can't remember the name of the program that they used to include with Office, but it allowed you to create websites without being a programmer. They've since canceled the whole thing. I don't know if you remember what that is, but
Yeah.
and yeah, sure enough, my early websites just that looked horrible are all there.
Mhm.
I remember.
Well, I was going to say the tool I first started using on a computer to do websites is called Notepad.
Oh no!
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
you did HTTP Notepad on there.
Hmm.
Wow,
Yep, you just start typing. Yep.
Hand
wow, that's
coding.
impressive, huh? So yeah, I remember. So after I had passed the CCNA test, this was around 2000. This is when it first came out. It was before there was even like demos you had to do. Where you had to click and do a bunch of things. Back then it was just A B C D. Click the button, and so I
Hmm.
passed the test, and I thought, oh, I know, I'll help out some other people on there. And so I had put out sort of a practice test for the CCNA. And sure enough, that thing was still there as well. But what was interesting is that Cisco came after me, sent a certified letter saying, "Yeah, you got to take that down."
Cease and
So,
desist.
cease and that's exactly what it was. It was cease and desist. So
Mhm.
yeah, I had to take that down. But I was like, I'm not going to fight Cisco on this. I probably gave away a little
Yeah.
bit too much.
They got deeper pockets and better lawyers.
Oh, well, yeah, way better. Um, so anyway, yeah, password manager. This comes from Wired.com. They have a really good article on what you can do to manage your digital legacy. So go ahead and check that out at Wired, and prepare for what's going to happen to all of us, except for me. And that is, all of us are going to pass at some point, and it's a good idea to be prepared for that. But I do plan on living forever, just to let you know. So I'll take care of you guys. Don't you worry.
Thank you.
You're
Gonna have
welcome.
your brain frozen like they did in Sleeper.
Yeah.
There you go.
Did you watch? It was the new Addams Family thing Wednesday. So they had Wednesday.
Mm.
So they had a guy in a jar. A guy's head in a
Head
jar.
in a jar. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
Futurama. Yeah. Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, a little bit like Futurama, yeah.
Hmm.
And so he unfortunately had an interesting demise, but I'm not going to give too much away here, if you haven't seen it yet.
Yeah.
So that could happen. I could certainly put my head in a
Yeah.
jar. Yeah, I
Hmm.
could, yeah, be like Nixon on Futurama and then continue to
That's
rule the
right.
world.
We all need goals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
PlayStation. I don't know how far you guys go back to play. Do you have a PlayStation 1 or two? I mean, I have a 4 and
I
a
have a
5.
I have a two still.
You still have a 2. Does it still work?
Oh yeah.
Oh, you haven't even turned that thing on in 10 years.
Oh no, only about a year and a half.
Oh, year and a half. Okay. How about
Yep.
you, Chris? You a big gamer?
I go back to the Atari 2600.
Oh,
So yeah,
well, yeah, I do too.
I haven't had many game systems apart from the Nintendo Wii lately, but yeah, no, I've certainly shows my friends in middle school and high school around who had the best Nintendo systems, what we could do after school. So right
My
there with you.
first one, and I don't know how my parents swung this because they were both government workers, but my first one was the Magnavox Odyssey, I think it was called.
Ooh.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it
Yep.
played Pong. I mean that
Hmm.
was it. We used to put quarters into Pong, but then when you get the your one connected to your TV, then so anyway, we couldn't play this thing for more than an hour because it kept overheating the TV, which was tube based.
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
So So yeah, my parents were always worried about us burning the tubes out of that thing. But anyway, PlayStation has now been around for about 30 years, and they've created a new anniversary book, photography book that includes rare photographs of various different, like test boxes and prototypes, things like that. It runs about $100. So if you want to get if you're really a PlayStation nut, you can certainly do that. 400-page visual journey through PlayStation's history. This comes from Eurogamer.net.
Well, if you're really a PlayStation nut, there's a special fancy edition that costs almost $300, and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
has the slipcase, that has the exposed binding. Look, you can see behind me. I don't know if this is an audio or visual podcast,
Yeah, it's
but
visual. Yeah, visual. Yeah.
behind me, I'm a big fan of books, and down in the bottom shelf there's an awful lot of art books that I've bought from Taschen over the years. So I'm certainly never going to complain about a fancy schmancy art book edition of something that I love. Like I said, I don't have the connection to the PlayStation like that, but I was thumbing through it. It looks pretty cool, honestly.
So you're saying on your coffee
Well, if you're
table, there's a coffee table book.
Yes, absolutely, and
Yeah.
it's shaped like a coffee table. Yeah, absolutely.
and if you're really serious about this, you're going to buy 2 copies and wrap one up and put it away.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, that's a good
Yep.
point. Very good point.
Guaranteed to appreciate and value, as they used to say about the Franklin Mint.
Yeah.
I had a roommate in college that had 2 copies of every Gordon Lightfoot album made.
And they're still not worth what he paid.
No,
To him, they are.
what made him think Gordon Lightfoot? This is
Yeah,
money
yeah.
in the bank. I love Gordon. There's no complaints out of me, but like I've never thought, now that man is a gold mine.
Edmund
Yeah.
Fitzgerald.
Yeah, I guess if you could read his mind, you would know why he
Oh,
did that.
yeah. Oh, good one. Good one. All right. All right. So those of you who are running Windows 10 still, your security updates are about to run out in October,
Unless you pay
you
30
are-
bucks.
well, yeah, I guess you could pay. That's true. But for free,
Mhm.
you can, if you live in the European Economic Area. So if you're one of the 10 people that lives there, Microsoft will continue to providing security updates for free. But I cannot stress enough how important security updates are. It's just it's ludicrous to be running Windows or Linux or Mac, operating system, and not have security updates. There are new threats that are discovered every day. So it's just, I don't know. Scott, you deal with this on a daily basis. What do you say?
I do, yeah. And I trying to get it through to people how serious they are. And in cases like, the functional updates, not just security. I've got applications that, Microsoft says, "Oh, we'll install them and you can reboot when convenient." No, you reboot now because it broke something that's not going to work until you reboot it.
Right. And
So,
Microsoft has come out with the Windows Server Update services, but they said about a year ago, I think we've talked about this in the past, that they were no longer going to develop that program. So on an individual basis, you take your Windows computer, you get your updates. They even happen automatically now, whether you want them or not. Ever since Windows 10 came out, and Windows Server Update Services allowed you to override that as long as you were in an organization with Active Directory and running Windows servers, and you could set up what's called a group policy to only get updates when the administrator said these updates are safe, because a lot of updates do break things. But then Microsoft said, we're not going to develop this anymore. We're going to, say you can get your updates from Intune, but you got to pay a monthly fee for that. So
it's going to cost you.
It's gonna go. That's right. Now, of course, there are hacks and things to get around all those problems. But if you're a basic user of Windows, Linux, Macintosh, you want to make sure you're getting updates. So if you're no longer getting them, now Microsoft has eased the requirements for upgrading to Windows 11. It's been a free upgrade for quite a while from Windows 10. So it's not a bad idea. What do you recall from InfoSec, Chris, about the updates situation?
Yeah, well, I was going to say of the 10 things that we had on the slate to talk about today, this felt like the most Robert McMillan topic of any of them, since I certainly know you as the Windows operating system guy for InfoSec skills. I think the thing that came to my mind was that Windows 10 doesn't feel that obsolete to me just yet. The idea that they're sort of like slashing it and sort of kicking it to the curb, like like it was like Windows Vista or something like that. Like you sent over two articles, and the second one used the sort of framing structure of, well, it was a British writer. My mom still uses Windows 10, and I don't know how to get her to update to Windows 11. Like there seems something very weirdly final about getting rid of this operating system that it seems like a very large percentage of people are still using. I think one of the stats said that on Steam that it's still the most popular sort of operating system over on the Steam platform.
Good point.
Mhm.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't believe that Windows 11 has outstripped Windows 10 unless it happened really recently. Maybe as we get closer to this deadline, it's starting to happen. But
Dirty little secret, I only updated to Windows 11 this year.
oh, really?
I had a desktop that I think I counted backwards, and it was probably like 8 or 10 years old, and it wouldn't take a Windows. It just didn't have the juice for a Windows 11 update, and I
Right.
have a feeling that's more common than not. So I don't know if we can look at ICS security and talk about legacy systems. I feel like we should be able to do some kind of a legacy system clause for mom's computer at home that we have to
Yeah.
fix every Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, the other option, of course, is to install Hyper-V on your Windows 10 computer or Windows 11 on that.
Oh, okay. There you go.
But
There you
your average computer user is not going to be able to figure that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have some servers that I create my educational courses from, and they're the latest version I could get onto those servers because they're 10 years old was Windows Server 2019, and I was lucky to get 2019 on there because they were designed for 2012. And so I was, but the good thing about it is you can install. I installed Hyper-V, and I can install the latest operating system as a virtual machine onto a 2019 or even 2012 if I wanted to server, and I can do all my demonstrations on the latest operating system without anybody even knowing that the underlying host operating system is completely outdated. But hey, I use them for making educational courses. It's not like I'm putting my taxes on there.
There you
Yeah.
True.
So yeah, for those of you who are interested, look into Hyper-V, which comes with all Windows professional, enterprise, or educational versions of Windows Server. If you have a home version, you can upgrade it to professional, I think for about $100, so it's not too bad. And then you can go ahead and use Hyper-V
Yep.
on there. Of course, there are some third-party free ones like VirtualBox. They're just not very good. So the FCC,
They're not.
they're not. You're right. The FCC, which is being run by children these days, leaked the iPhone schematics. The latest iPhone, of course, is coming out. Which version is that again, Scott? The latest iPhone is
17, I think, is the one coming out.
that's the one. Okay. Do you see
Yep.
any reason why people should upgrade to that one?
Not yet.
Not yet.
I don't.
Okay.
I'm still on 13. It doesn't do
Same.
anything that the newest phone won't do. I mean, there are some built-in things in the newer hardware that my phone won't interact with, but it hasn't stopped working yet. It hasn't. They haven't stopped doing support and applying the OS updates.
Are you an iPhone guy, Chris?
Yeah, I'm on a 13 as well.
You're on 30. My wife, I think, is on a 10. Yeah. And because she is a 10, just saying. And she still gets updates as well, which I have to give Apple credit for because that is an old phone.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
My wife's aunt ran into a problem. She has a 10 also, and there's an app that she uses to watch one of our relatives' softball games when they're playing out on the road,
Oh, okay.
and it won't work anymore.
Oh, wow.
It needs a newer version of iOS.
Yep.
Well, if that ever happens to my wife at some point, she'll probably say, honey, I want the latest iPhone. So I'm sure that's coming. Well,
Yep.
anyway, the FCC accidentally leaked the iPhone 17 schematics. out to, is it to the public, showing the electrical schematics of the iPhone 16e, sorry, 16e,
Ah,
despite Apple specifically requesting them to keep them confidential.
you,
So a mistake, of course, on the part of the FCC. This comes to us from Engadget.com. They also distributed a cover letter from Apple alongside schematics dated for last year, and it verifies the company's request for privacy. So they publicly said, "Hey, here's the schematics for 16," and they also publicly posted the letter from Apple that says, "Please don't post this publicly."
well, I think they fired all the people that knew anything in that department anyway.
Yeah, I think you're
I was
right.
just going to say, imagine being the person who had the quote incorrect setting in a database that can you can track this back to. I get night sweats thinking about like getting that phone call the next day. Hey, remember when you said you were going to make this one database change and then you never got around to it? Well,
Oh
I
yeah.
have terrible news for you.
Well, in the current administration, that person would get promoted. I'm just letting you know.
Yep,
Hmm.
obviously.
Well,
Peter Principal.
Yeah. Well, more Apple new information, hardware announcements. So Apple is, coming out with some new rumored products, and it reminded me of the iPad Pro models with Apple's M5 chip will be released this year. The M5. I have a Mac which I think has the M2 chip on it, but that I just use for demonstration videos and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it reminds me back of why I hated the 2010s so much, which was the iPad comes out. I think it was around 2010. The first iPad came out, and everybody thought, "Oh, this thing is going to replace the personal computer. We're all going to be using tablets, right?" And then 2020 happens. And then a massive amount of laptops were purchased because people realized they all had to work from home and a tablet wasn't doing it. And the only thing it
Yep.
was good for was watching streaming video and turning on and off our furnace and lights and other smart IoT devices in our homes and businesses. But it's not, I mean, who wants to take their finger and just type out messages
yeah.
or talk into it and stuff like that. Anyway, it didn't work out as Apple had hoped. But I remember just story after story about the iPad this and the iPad that. But anyway, they're expected to update their Vision Pro with the M5 chip this year. Next MacBook model, Pro models, and with M5, M5 Pro, Max chips are going to come out early 2026. There you go. Apple is, they used to have a yearly show, which they stopped doing after COVID. And they're talking about possibly bringing that back. But, also it happened after Steve Jobs died too. But, um, I think that it was very good for Apple to do those shows. So I think that they probably should bring them back for, people. Chris, are you on a Macintosh right now?
No, most of my work stuff is PC. I do have an iPad that I'm looking at right over there, and I mostly use it to play dumb iPad games. But and I do have a Bluetooth keyboard so I can type things, but literally just so you can type in, a sentence. There's no way I would ever like use something that tiny to even compose an
Mhm.
email, let alone actual day job work stuff. Looking at the rumors page, it looked like Apple did event-based things in like 21 and 23 and press releases in 22 and 24. So maybe this is the big year when they're going to have another, like you said, proper show of it and so forth. But yeah, it's
Steve
interesting.
Jobs AI in a black turtleneck. Ooh,
Oh yeah, there you go. Work for ABBA.
Yeah.
ooh,
Yep.
everybody would be excited about that. Hey,
Yeah.
I like Steve Jobs. I used to use Macintosh back in the 80s and 90s, but when I wanted to get real work done, I had to switch to a Windows computer. So I know not everybody agrees with that. That's fine, but
Well,
that's, what
I
I
used I used an iMac for about a year and a half, pretty much solely to do my work. And I found that I could do everything I needed to do because I was remoted into machines. It
into Windows.
was, yeah, into Windows machines,
Yeah.
and it worked just fine. It was good.
Yeah, as a remote tool, yeah, I could see that, but I don't know. Uh, so what's the interesting new term? that you're going to be hearing as students, as new sysadmins, things like that, is vibe coding, VIBE coding. I don't know if you've all heard it. Well, Chris probably has because worked with a little bit with AI security at InfoSec. But
Yeah, I interviewed. I can't think of his name, but someone specifically mentioned vibe coding, and I had to look it up. But basically, it seems like it's you use sort of an AI prompting device, and then you tell it to sort of write you a piece of software, and it writes you sort of an approximation of that piece of software. And this guest even said, like, don't obviously use this. Like, it's the code is insecure as heck, but it gives you a feeling of having written something, seeing it through to completion. You do, some refinements on it and so forth, and you get something that more or less looks like code. So I think that's kind of what vibe codes mean. Is that right?
well, it's that's very close, and I disagree that you with the person that you interviewed saying that you shouldn't use it, and I'll tell you why. But first off, here's the definition: software development approach where developers describe desired app functionality in natural language, basically just talking like I am now, to an AI, which then generates, refines, and debugs the code. All right. So the reason why I'm saying that you need to know this and you need to actually practice this is because I did a tour of the country in June. I drove from Portland down around through Texas, back through Illinois, and then I came back again. And I toured multiple different colleges, and I interviewed them and asked them, excuse me, what's new, what's going on, how are you doing your teaching, how are you doing your classes, or what's changed. And down at Houston Community College, they have one of the first AI degrees. And so now more colleges are adding those. Now I know PCC is talking about adding them, and some of the other colleges in the area are adding them as well. But I talked to the professor there at this college who teaches some of these classes, and I said, what knowledge do you need to bring to get an AI degree? And she said, you need to learn vibe coding. That is the way of the future. And I'm like, what the heck is vibe coding? And it's just what you said, Chris, and just what I said. Basically, you need to learn how to talk to AI because, AI doesn't understand everything. Learn to talk to AI to have it create things. And then learn to take the creations that AI does and make them work properly, make sure that they're secure, make sure they're debugged. AI can do a lot of that as long as you learn how to prompt it to do it. Now, when AI comes out with an application, let's say that you tell AI, you use vibe coding, you use natural language to say, create an application, maybe create a website that has this in it. You need to make sure that the website is secure and all that kind of good stuff. So you need to understand what AI is creating. So this professor told me that you do need to have some Python skills. You don't have to be, an expert at it. They do make you take some Python classes in order to get the AI degree so you can understand what the AI is doing. So an interesting thing that I had mentioned on the show previously is she said that things are changing so rapidly in AI that she goes in every week to teach her classes, and she says, "Remember what I told you last week about AI? Yeah, it's all outdated. We got all new stuff now." But the thing that's not outdated is vibe coding. Of course, the terminology vibe coding is there, but what it means is probably going to evolve over time. So if you are going to be a student, are thinking about getting a degree in AI, which obviously has a lot of future in it, then you'll need to understand and do some research on vibe coding, VIBE. You'll find a lot of good materials on that online. There's some courses on multiple different places. If they're still making them, who knows? So that you can learn about how to do it properly and also get some Python experience as well. But that seems to be the way of the future. So it's interesting that you interviewed somebody who said that it's not a secure way of doing it. Can you?
Well, no. I looked it up here, and it was Sam Chihab of Postman, and I think what Sam basically said was it's a very good way to I think he said basically that the idea that software development was going to be democratized and that anyone can now make a piece of software, which will allow for more people to come up with unusual ideas for software to design via vibe coding. But he was saying, like, if you're going to make something that you're going to charge X number of dollars for, either SaaS or in the App Store or whatever, like, you should still have a team of elite level secure coders and people who know the stuff, who can absolutely go over the code with a fine-tooth comb. I mean, there are certainly refinements you can do if you know how to prompt, but I think his point was that there's going to be a split between people who are vibe coding to create and high-level software engineers who are going to take those things and absolutely pick them apart until they're as secure as can possibly be.
So what you're saying is that if you're a child, don't play with fire, but if you are an adult, then it's probably going to be safe.
Something like that. Yeah.
Something
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that is good advice after all. Very good. Well, we've had another fun and exciting Alltech Radio Show podcast. Scott, is there anything you would like to add?
Nothing off the top of my head. But if anybody needs IT support in the Portland area, please contact nwtechsupport.com.
All right. And Chris, anything you would like to say on our way out of our show?
No, it's been a lot of fun talking with you, Robert and Scott. Thanks for having me on. If anyone wants to get in touch with me, I am on LinkedIn. You can look me up under my name, Chris Sienko, Sienko. I would love to talk to you.
All right. Excellent. Well, we've had another fun and exciting Alltech Radio Show. We'll see you again next time.